Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Ashram Talks. This is Atul Krishnadas. I will be your host for today. So, today is a very special verse that we're going to be covering. In previous episodes, we were talking about different kind of sacrifices, and today we're going to bring everything together because I think for many of us in our lives, we tend to focus on getting more, getting ahead of life, obtaining more things, and we generate attachment. And with that, I don't mean only to material stuff, objects, possessions, but also to people, to family, to friends. And to be honest, at any given point in our lives, we could experience loss. Is something that inevitably is going to happen to either us or to a loved one. And how do we face those situations will determine how we will have an output in our lives many times. With this verse today, we will talk sacrifice will help you grow spiritually and how to face those situations. And today, joining us for this very special conversation, we have the wonderful Sri Rangapuri. Welcome.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat. Thank you for this
Hare
opportunity
Krishna.
to address this important topic. So, we're very happy to give light from the Bhagavad Gita as it is by Srila Prabhupada. Om Agyanat Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Jana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. We offer our respectful obeisances into whom gives us light, spiritual master. Bhakti Puri Goswami Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, thus far in the Gita, we've come through different chapters. Now we're in the fourth chapter. The first chapter basically sets the scene, what's going on. And it's a battlefield, and we have Arjun, a very powerful warrior that's very bewildered about action because he has to face, very dear people. So in the second chapter, the Lord explains that we are not this body. And actually we cannot kill anyone. That we're eternal, imperishable souls. That we have not taken birth, nor will we die. And then the Lord starts introducing the concept of attachment. It says that attachment is actually the root cause of lust. And lust itself is the cause of anger. And anger is the cause of delusion. And then, madness. So all this is introduced already in the second chapter. The third chapter explains us what karma and karma yoga is in a more detailed fashion. So the Lord states a very clear difference between attachment and lust on one side and duty, dharma, on the other side. So the purpose behind our actions and our desires is a key thing. Why do we do something? That's been brought by Krishna. Not the action itself. The action itself is important, but the most important thing is the purpose behind the action. The why and what for is more important than what and where. So then in this chapter Even eating is identified by the Lord as sin if it's not offered to the Lord first. Because he's explaining that everything belongs to the Lord, so we cannot take things without permission. Yeah, this world's not our world. That's the first thing that comes to mind. They say, oh, our world, our city, our family, our friends, our, I, me, and mine. These three things actually trap us in this world. So then karma yoga is actually sacrifice for vision. You know, offer things to God. That will purify your actions, and that's karma. Now, in this fourth chapter, we're being introduced to knowledge because knowledge is the light to action. So, why we do things, what for we do things. So, knowledge is a key word, such important has this word that actually the revealed scriptures are called Veda, knowledge. Knowledge is our savior in this world. So we start, that's why salvation, freedom starts with knowledge. And in the previous verses, in the fourth chapter, it has been explained how this knowledge originates and how it comes to us. So the Lord says that I am the source of knowledge, and that's logic. And he says that he explains this knowledge himself to somebody that will start a chain. And because Arjun is of the royal order, he says, I first told this to the sun god. And the sun god transferred that to his son, and his son instructed to his son, and like that, the saintly kings have received this knowledge. So then he's saying, of course, you should get this, because otherwise you cannot even rule properly. Without knowledge, you cannot do that. Now, we naturally act to get something. Otherwise, why should we do anything? We actually do, any action has some purpose behind. So it's you cannot actually differentiate very much the purpose of the action from the action itself and the result of the actions, because the intention is to get that result. Otherwise, one wouldn't do anything if there's no result to that. So, now today we're going to read the verse 420. This verse says like that. Sarve piete yagya vido, yagya kshapita kalmasaha, yagya shishtamre tabujo, yanti brahma sanatana. All these performers who know the meaning of sacrifice become cleansed of sinful reaction, and having tasted the nectar of the remnants of such sacrifice, they go to the supreme eternal atmosphere. So we're going to read the purport by Srila Prabhupada. And it says this. This freedom from the bondage of actions is possible only in Krishna consciousness, when one is doing everything for Krishna. A Krishna conscious person acts out of pure love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore he has no attraction for the results of the action. He's not even attached to his personal maintenance, for everything is left to Krishna, nor is he anxious to secure things, nor to protect things already in his possession. He does his duty to his best ability and leaves everything to Krishna. Such an unattached person is always free from the resultant reactions of good and bad. It is as though he were not doing anything. This is the sign of akarma, or actions without fruitive reactions. Any other action, therefore, devoid of Krishna consciousness, is biting upon the worker, and that's the real aspect of vikarma, as explained herein before. So, sarve piyate yagyavido, yagya kshapita kalmasa, yagya shistamre tabujo, yanti brahma sanatanam. All these performers who know the meaning of sacrifice become cleansed of sinful reaction, and having tasted the nectar of the remnants of such sacrifice, they go to the supreme eternal atmosphere. Hare Krishna. Okay, so what is ours? And this is so important, because if we do everything trying to get a result, so how can we change this? Because the sense of proprietorship arises very naturally when even the very first time we're in touch with this world. When we come out of the womb of the mother, anything that attracts us, we label as mine. Oh, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. So we're trying to become the owners of our environment. And then I, me, and mine actually draft our lifetime. So we go to school to get something, to acquire. And we get even friends to get something. Something we like to get, we go to somebody that has that. Even toys, Oh, he has this toy, so I want to be friend. Even a person that's very poor, try to take out something of that person. That person probably is more attached because he's feeling that, oh my God, I need this so badly. If somebody is very hungry and is about to take his food, take it away and see what happens. And moreover, if an animal is eating, don't get, between the animal and the food. Don't do that. You'll be in big trouble. So, once you've fixed your senses, your intention into getting something, and you are in the act of enjoying that, whatever comes in between, you will fight that. So, we state a number of things that we consider ours. So, for example, your wallet. I'm sure you keep that as yours very clearly. Your telephone, your whatever telephone you have, you don't just, whomever even if somebody looks at it, you get a little mad. You know, why are you looking? Those are my messages. So we're escalating from things like, whatever, clothes. If somebody steals your clothes, you get a bit mad as well. Food. If somebody takes away your food, goodness. So you get attached to things you consider yours. And then we escalate. We escalate because the example we've given here is not just the object. It's not just the smartphone by itself. It's whatever you have inside, your thoughts, your conversations, that you think is private. So why are you messing up with my talks with somebody else? You're not entitled. You don't have the right to do so. So one becomes very mad. For example, here in the US, they made an experiment, and they did in some other countries as well. So they say, okay, give me your phone for 1 month and I'll give you $1,000. Very few people accepted that. About 4%. They were ready, to relinquish $1,000, but I won't be away from this thing. There's a 10% of people that prefer to go to jail for 1 day happily if this is not taken away from them. There's about 10% people that would divorce the wife if she gets away with the phone. And that's only, the psychological side of it. But then, as Atul Krishna said, what about the persons? When you get attached to a person, that's even stronger. Probably somebody says, okay, I'll take away your son. What? The very thought of it gets you mad. And if somebody says, I'll take away, your girlfriend or your boyfriend, people fight about that. And probably most of the fights boys have is about a girl or enemies he creates, because we think that's our property. And furthermore, if you get jealous, if you think that person doesn't love you anymore, many people, you won't believe how many, is ready to kill either the person that takes away the wife, the husband, and sometimes they kill both. They kill the beloved and also the guy or the lady that took that person away from us. So strong is the sense of possession, although we're not the owners. So that's a very tough thing. How you really put this into your life, that nothing belongs to me. Everything is Krishna's. Even this body is Krishna's body. So in the normal world, you get mad if somebody takes something that you think is yours. But you don't get that mad if they take, if somebody is driving his own car, is looking his own phone, you don't care much. As long as it's not your phone, other person is looking his own phone. So who cares? He's driving his own bicycle, wearing his own clothes, has his own girlfriend, you're with yours, that guy has his girlfriend or her boyfriend. Who cares? Although you may even desire that. And that's awful. If you desire somebody else's property, that's very dangerous. So if you steal someone's property, you go to jail. Or you take, some other's partner, you may be killed. So it's very dangerous. But in general, the main problem is when somebody takes what you think is yours. People even get mad at God because if they are religious, and there are many songs, especially in Spanish language, oh God, why you took her away? Why you did that to me? You're supposed to be a good guy. I'm your devotee. Why you do that to me? Even Narada Muni, once was angry at the Lord. So, attachment is so strong. Even learned persons get attached to things. So, deal with this is not easy. So what the Lord is saying here again is abandoning all attachment to the results of his activities, ever satisfied and independent, he performs no fruitive action, also engaged in all kinds of undertakings. It's interesting. There's a devotee, Shyamasundar Das. He wrote a very interesting book on Prabhupada called Chasing Rhinos with the Swami. And he tells a story, very interesting story, in Mumbai, in India. The devotees used to have, long ago, today you see a variety of cars in India, but before you just saw one model, one color of car was the Ambassador. A black car, very sturdy, and that was the only car basically. So the devotees had one of those. And then Shyamasundar got in the car, Prabhupada got in the car, in the back seat. He tried to start the car and didn't start. And then two gentlemen come in the car. One sits to the side of Prabhupada and one sits in the passenger front seat. He was like, what's this? Maybe they're going to rob us? Is this an assault? And they were big guys. So he was about to get mad, but then he waited for Prabhupada's reaction. And he saw Prabhupada very happily talking to them. Oh, where are you from? They were talking in Hindi. So he didn't get much of the talks. I said, well, how can Prabhupada be so detached that, people is getting into our car and he's still, talking very friendly, sometimes laughing, and here and there. So he was amazed. And then he got more amazed when Prabhupada said, okay, let's get down now. What? Are we going to relinquish the car to these guys? Come on, I'll explain you. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Yeah. That's not our car. Actually, we broke into other people's car. So we were like thieves. But they were so gentle with us. He said, if you were in the West, they would have killed you already. And this is one of the differences between people that has spiritual culture and people that's ignorant of that. And it's true, especially here in the US. Not trespassing, and people has the gun, the right to bear arms. And they can kill you, and they wouldn't mind. Oh, he was getting into another's property. Even probably if you're escaping from something, somebody can shoot you if you just go into his or her property. So this is the level of attachment that is being developed. And then, to get detached, Lord Krishna then is saying, abandon it. Because, why he says abandon? Because we have it. We have it by nature. Just being in this world gets us, attached to things. And moreover, people. And then we'll just shortly tell this Leela of Narada Muni himself. Probably you've heard it before, but Narada Muni was very proud because, he finally saw very beautiful ladies and he didn't feel attracted. So he decided to share it, with Lord Brahma, his father. He said, Father, I'm so happy, Even the most beautiful lady I've seen, I don't have any attraction. She's spirit soul, so I don't get into that. Lord Brahma said, okay, very good, but please don't broadcast that and don't tell Lord Shiva. But then he said, no, I have to say, Lord Shiva should know this. So he went to Lord Shiva and then related that. I said, Jai Om Namo Shivaya. Lord Shiva, I'm so happy. I have no attachments, not even to these beautiful ladies. And Lord Shiva was, very good, so you're a very good brahmachari, so excellent. So, but don't tell Vishnu, that's no good. Don't tell Narayan this. But then, after a while, he was tempted to say, no, I have to tell Narayan. Narayan is my friend. So he went to Lord Narayan and said, my Lord, I'm so happy. I've conquered lust. And then he explained, I feel now real brahmacharya. So I see all creatures as just, yours. So I'm so happy about that. And the Lord just said, But he had a smile in his lotus face. And then Narada was so proud, and when he was walking, he saw a lot of people, very important people, demigods, powerful kings, princes, going into some direction. He saw even Lord Shiva going there. So he started following that. He said, where are they going? There was a sayambara taking place, and a princess was to be given at that sayambara. And then Narayan said, okay, let me go to that. What can be so attractive that all these important people is going there? And then he came into that place, and the father of the princess announced, okay, my daughter is going to put a garland into her favorite king that's come here, of every person that I see many personalities here. And I'm going to present her. And when she started to walk, Nara was mesmerized. He couldn't believe his eyes. He said, "What's that?" No, I have to marry that girl. I have to be the one. So he decided, I'll be back for whenever she's already going to take the decision. So he went back to the Lord and said, "Lord, I never ask you anything, but this time I'm going to ask you just one thing. I need to be very, very attractive." "What for? You're in this brahmachari thing." No, I need to be very attractive because, I saw a lady that's just too much. My Lord, please do that. I never ask anything. Make me incomparable. I want to be something, unbelievable. And then I said, "So be it." And then he joined that group of people where the lady was going with the garland around. And he was, very happy that, okay, so I'm here. And then this lady started, facing each one of the persons that came there, and she just bypassed him. So, as she didn't see. And then the Lord himself, Vishnu, came in the Swayambara. And the lady gave him the garland. Narada Muni couldn't believe what's going on. So, very discouraged after the function, he went to the river to refresh himself. And when he saw the water, he saw his face was terrible. He had the face of a monkey. And he became very angry at the Lord. So he went to see the Lord and said, "Why you did this to me? You put me a monkey face, and you're supposed to be my friend." And then he cursed the Lord. That's one of the reasons of Lord Ramachandra coming. He said, "Now you're going to have monkeys as your servants." But you see how strong this can be. So that's why, going back, the third chapter, the Lord explains, when you contemplate the objects of the senses, you become attached. From that attachment, lust comes. So before, when I was younger, much younger, in the school, at least in some countries, in Latin America especially, we didn't have girls and boys together. We had different schools, so I went to the school where monks and only male were there. And probably because they were aware that, you get attracted. And so ladies were only with girls as well. So in that way we could study. It was funny because we always won in some contests, of math, science, like that, because other schools got influenced by the American. And they got these girls also in the school, and the guys were, in the moon, thinking about a lot of things that they couldn't concentrate in their studies. So, because if you contemplate the objects of the senses, you get very attracted. But of course now we're all trapped. Even if you live with monks, then you have this thing that will bring the object of the senses to yourself, wherever you are. So we're in a big problem now. Even if you go away, if you still take this, you're bringing temptation with yourself. So, but this verse says, abandon because it's Krishna's property. Don't 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 get into that. So we're trying to learn this. I hope this was useful. These Bhagavad Gita lessons are so important for us. And then, if we are aware that everything is Krishna's, then we just put everything in His service. And that's Rupa Goswami saying, Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yuktam Vairagyam Uchate. It's so easy when you know who's the owner. And you establish your relation with Krishna, and it's very automatic that you'll give up your attachment to things because you know who's the real proprietor. So actually, you do take the things and then offer them. You don't just, look elsewhere. So you give these things, you offer these things to Krishna. So then you see these girls, they're the property, they're the gopis of the Lord. So they are meant for the Lord. Oh, this money is meant for serving the Lord. Yeah, this work, this job is meant for pleasing the Lord. So you get other kind of excitement. That excitement is called yoga excitement. It's Bhakti Yoga comes when you spontaneously try to offer everything to Krishna. In the beginning, you do a little forcefully. That's called Vaidhi, by the orders. Okay, give that to Krishna. Then the Guru says, and then, okay, first to Krishna, then I'll get some. So even with the food, one is trained. But then, when you come to understand that everything belongs to the Lord, you're so happy because everything you can engage in the Lord's service. So you're freed from all these worries that come from attachment. So attachment to Krishna and the devotees of Krishna is the real key to live happily in this world. You offer everything to the Lord. That's it. Thank you very much. Colin Dandavats. We cannot hear you, Atul.
Oh, sorry. Thank you so much, Rangapuri. Here in the comments, we have Colleen with a reflection that I think is very relevant. She was mentioning like what is actually ours, and that she's contemplating that question every day. And I think that in order for us to start, this process of leaving attachment behind, the first thing will be to be aware of, what are the things of the people that we're mostly attached to. And I was wondering, because I love the examples that you provided of how to offer them to Krishna. But perhaps I would like to go a little bit deeper with a more specific example of, for example, how will I offer my relationship with my partner or my children or my work to Krishna, to help us in this process?
Very good. So, because that's a deeper attachment, you can relinquish your t-shirt probably without shedding tears. But what you do with your partner is that you have to see her as a servant of God. And you team up to serve the Lord. And also, if you have children, your children are to be directed to Krishna. So you train them to get Krishna consciousness. So you become the manager of the relation in the sense that you direct now those relations to Krishna. So you picture yourself as a servant of Krishna in that relationship. So then you have both worlds. You have the best of both worlds. because you still keep that relation, but that relation is purified. So it's a pure relation. So when you take that position, then you can have things that people in this world has, and it's interesting thing because sometimes people think, oh, but these guys do the same thing that the rest. So how are they so different? The difference is why you do things. So you team up for the pleasure of Krishna. And it's interesting, recently there was a lady posting, a lady devotee from Russia, posting that she's taking girls to Vietnam to get a husband, vegetarian husband, non-devotee. I said, what? You crazy. If the purpose of having a family is to bring up Krishna conscious children, how a non-Krishna conscious person can help you in that purpose? Doesn't make any sense, at least to me. You know, it's already so difficult to deal with somebody that's not interested in Krishna. What to say partnering with that person or life partnering? You gotta be a little mad. So the only purpose of every relation is to increase Krishna consciousness in every party involved. So see yourself as an instrument of that happening and serve that person as well as, because she is also Krishna devotee, you have to serve her in the best capacity you can. That will be probably guiding the family or leading the family. So usually these are traditional roles. Of course, that can be, it's kind of contract. You can agree upon what each one will do. But mostly, you need to define these things clearly.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that's very enlightening about how to prioritize, and how to see our relationships with people and with material things. It's a switch in a perspective and be mindful that, okay, this is not an excuse of doing something, but is changing the way we think, the way we see people and the way we see our interactions. And that may take time, and that is a process. I also love the fact that you said that we should be attached to devotees on the service of Krishna. And in that sense, I would like to invite everybody who's watching to be part of our community online, especially if, as we mentioned in previous episodes, some of the people that are in this online community, they don't have the opportunity to interact in person with other devotees. So I invite everybody who would like to comment, to try to interact a little bit more. And thank you so much, Rangapuri, for this wonderful session today. I hope it was very enlightening for everybody as it was for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you indeed. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. See you all on next time. Goodbye.
Thanks. Bye.